Our story begins more than 60 years ago inside an abandoned chicken coop, where our founder discovered a retired teacher living, no home, no health care. So she said no to this injustice and yes to transforming lives. It's this drive, this compassion, that inspired AARP. Today, we empower people to choose how they live as they age. As a wise friend and fierce defender, we advocate for better health, financial security, and stronger communities. AARP, join us in making a difference.
I think Muhammad Ali's legacy is to unite with truth.
Muhammad Ali left a huge legacy that I believe in, and trying to be more than just what I am, but trying to fulfill a purpose.
The world right now is divided by race and religion and socioeconomic factors, and I know my dad, Muhammad Ali, always believed in inclusion.
His impact is global. His inspiration knows no barrier. He said that he shook up the world. Indeed, he did, and we are the better for it.
Muhammad's legacy was that we could love without judgment. We could love and see as family people who are complete strangers, people we disagree with.
Really sort of spurred on the civil rights movement for so many people, crystallized it, and inspired so many to become activists and follow in his footsteps.
He gave people a sense of belonging to society. No matter who you are, what color you are, what religion you are, you belong to this society, and you shouldn't let anyone tell you any different.
Muhammad Ali really encapsulated what it meant to stand on your beliefs and to live your highest ideals and to be relentless and to know that you're great.
Muhammad's legacy is eternal. It's forever.
Could I have a second of time to share with you something that's on my mind? Yeah, yeah. I've seen some things that just ain't right. Makes me wanna cry, makes me wanna fight. It's been brought to my attention. Things that people are afraid to mention. Somebody's gotta say it, so it might as well be me. Pull off the covers of this hypocrisy. Hey, I got something to say. Saw something so beautiful that took my breath away. It was something so small, but it said it all. It's in the magic of a smile and the laughter of a child. Tear down these walls and let it in. It's hard to look the other way when your heart can't see how much it has to pay. People crushed under the pain, while others look away, so things just stay the same. Hey, I got something to say. Saw something so beautiful, it took my breath away. It was something so small, but it said it all. It's in the magic of a smile and the laughter of a child. Tear down these walls and let it in. Everybody's so on their own, but no one can stand alone. Do we really all have to break before we finally awake? Yeah, yeah. We've all got so much to give. Open up and let it in. Let's break the chain. Stop all the pain. And all the pain. If it's not one thing, it's another. So what's it gonna take before we discover someone's pinning brother against brother? Hey, I got something to say. Yeah. Saw something so beautiful, it took my breath away. It was something so small, but it said it all. Yeah, it's in the magic of a smile, the laughter of a child. So tear down these walls and let it in. Love, peace, harmony. Love, peace, harmony. Just let it in. Love, peace, harmony. Love, peace, just let it in.
Live from the Muhammad Ali Center in Louisville, Kentucky, welcome to the 2021 Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Awards. And now, your host for the evening, American singer-songwriter and producer, music icon, and founding member of the Grammy-nominated group Sister Sledge. Please welcome tonight's host, Kathy Sledge.
Thank you. Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. Wow. Welcome to all of you here tonight at the Muhammad Ali Center in Louisville, Kentucky. Welcome to all of you who are viewing this remotely from our live stream, and thank you for joining us. And special thanks to our live stream sponsor, AARP of Kentucky, for making our live stream possible. Let's give them some love, everyone. And now, a few mentions before we begin. Each year, our award recipients are presented with hand-blown glass awards embossed with Muhammad's fingerprint, creating a beautiful symbol for Ali's mark on the world. These awards are created by Flame Run Glass Studio and Gallery right here in Louisville. So helping us present these beautiful awards tonight, please welcome alumni members from the Muhammad Ali Center Council of Students, the lovely Aubrey Stevenson, and Master Divinity candidate at Vanderbilt University, Reverend Royal Todd. Guys, thank you. Let's give him a huge round of applause. Aubrey, Reverend Royal Todd. Well, I have to say, I couldn't be more pleased to be here tonight. I'm from the, I don't want to say this, but I'm from the Joe Frazier territory of Philadelphia. Okay, so I got that out of the way. I'm from Philadelphia, and at 14 years old, my sisters and I were invited to perform at Zaire 74, a 3-day music festival that promoted the historic Rumble in the Jungle. I remember those days. Between Muhammad Ali and, of course, George Foreman. It was one of the highlights of my career. And as we celebrate our awardees tonight and reinforce the importance of unity, let's all remember humanity. Let's all remember during these really difficult times that we are family. Don't get me started, I might sing along. Okay, so let's get started. Our first presenter, who I am beyond honored to introduce this evening, is also very much tied to Muhammad Ali's legacy and really she needs no introduction. After first meeting Muhammad Ali when she was just 6 years old, she knew it was love at first sight. And she knew that day that she would one day marry him. It took 23 years to tie the knot, and she remained the love of Muhammad's life for decades. In 1997, Lonnie and Muhammad helped launch the Muhammad Ali Parkinson Center in Phoenix. In November 2005, almost 16 years ago to that day, they co-founded Muhammad Ali Center here in the hometown of Louisville, where Lonnie continues to serve as vice chair. Today, she remains actively involved in various charitable and educational causes, including advocating for children's rights and Parkinson's disease research. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a wonderful, warm, beautiful welcome. Welcome her to the stage, the one and only Lonnie Ali.
Thank you. Thank you. And it wasn't 6, okay? Just to set that tone straight, it was not at 6, it was not at first sight. Might have been for him, but not for me. Okay? You know, I have a few notes as well that I want to say before we get started here. Muhammad in the Center is about legacy. And I am so happy and proud to have part of his legacy here tonight. We have his daughter, Rashida, and his granddaughter, Amira, who is a U of L student. And in the back here, we have his niece, Satina and Alicia, if you guys would stand up. And Alicia's husband, Ned, and Alicia's children, Kali and Alea. Sorry, I wanted to say Layla, but Alea. So thank you all for being here because it is about the legacy of Muhammad, and they will be here long after I'm gone. But from the bottom of my heart, I am just so excited to have all of you here tonight. And for those of you who could not make it, but for supporting this event and the center and Muhammad's legacy and the Humanitarian Awards. I am so appreciative and have very much gratitude for all of you. For me and so many here at the center, the Muhammad Ali Center, tonight is a very special awards night. Tonight we get to honor and pay tribute to a very special, special person, someone we all know and love. Tonight, I am honored to present the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award Lifetime Achievement to Miss Ina Brown. Ina became a fan of the young Cassius Clay in high school when her father, W.L. Lyons Brown, became one of the 11 members of the Louisville sponsoring group. who funded and guided Muhammad to his debut as a professional boxer after he won the Olympic gold medal. And it's interesting, Ina was the only girl. She had brothers, but she was the only daughter. And her dad, and she tells this story often, would let her brothers go to the fights and watch Muhammad, the then young Cassius Clay, fight. But she was never allowed to go. So I think Ina got her say in now. Yeah. For the last 35 years, Ina has continued that legacy of community service instilled in her by her parents. She has served as board chair and board member and director for such organizations as the Community Foundation of Louisville, Bellarmine College, the Kentucky Humanities Council, the Family Place, the Nature Conservancy, and the Waterfront Development Commission. She was a founding member of the Louisville Community Foundation and served on the James Graham Brown Foundation as well. Ina was the second woman to be named chair of the United Way campaign, and in 2006 received an honorary doctorate of humane letters from Bellarmine University. And as you can see, Ina has been very, very busy. In 1999, Ina learned of Muhammad's and my dream of creating a place that could promote respect, hope, and understanding among all people, and to inspire others to discover their own greatness and follow that path to make positive change in themselves and their communities and the world. She immediately embraced Muhammad's vision from its inception and began volunteering for the establishment of the Ali Center. She went on to serve the center for the following 22 years in countless ways. Ina served as the chair of the operating board of the center from 1999 through 2005. She continues to serve on numerous committees throughout the years, and she has been essential to the success of this center. She is currently the chair emeritus of the board. Although Ina is now taking more time to enjoy her family and her grandchildren, she is still actively involved in a vast number of local charitable and civic organizations. You see, Ina epitomizes something my late husband used to tell me and the kids all the time. We should be in a race to do good every day. And Ina, I know, is in that race, and she is probably at the head. Please join me in a warm welcome tonight of the recipient of the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award for Lifetime Achievement, the one and only Ina Bond. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lonnie. This is just it's such an exciting night, and I'm so grateful to you, not only for all the kind remarks you've just said, but for how wonderful you've been to me over the years, and what a joy it's been to get to know you. And I'm so in admiration of you for all you've done for Muhammad and for the center. And thank you so much for giving me this lovely award. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude. And I have to say that I feel extremely fortunate to have been in a position to have worked with you and Muhammad on the creation of the center. It was just an amazing experience for me as we traveled so many places to raise money for the center, to see how people were drawn to Muhammad, not only because of what he stood for, but because of his charm and his wit, which we know so well, and his love of humanity. And I just can't thank you and the Ali Center board and staff enough for all you did for me and for giving me this wonderful honor. I'm so full of gratitude, and thank you so much for that.
Beautiful. Our next presenter is, are we ready for this? A celebrity chef, a philanthropist, restaurateur, entrepreneur, and he also calls Louisville his home. Darnell Super Chef Ferguson. He was one of the only 22 young chefs who traveled to Beijing to cook in the 2008 Olympic Games. He has gone on to open nearly a dozen restaurants that he either owns, he's licensed, or conceptualized, two of which are right here in Louisville. His flagship Super Chef restaurant, and his latest venture, The Dripping Crab. Did I say that? No, it's The Drippin' Crab in Weston, Louisville. Darnell serves on local boards for Blessings in a Backpack and Children Shouldn't Hunger. He's best known nationwide for his appearances on Food Network's Tournament of Champions and Guy's Grocery Game. Everyone, please welcome to the stage the super chef himself, Darnell Ferguson.
First, I just want to say what an honor it is to even be able to present an award today. I feel like I won from just being here, thinking this is the seed that's planted that may grow in the next 5 to 10 years. So our next award is being presented to two individuals, Chef Edward Lee and Lindsay Ofsasik. Edward is an award-winning chef, best-selling author, and TV personality, the owner of 610 Magnolia here in Louisville, Kentucky, and the culinary director of Succotash Prime in DC and Succotash in National Harbor. Lindsay has worked with Chef Lee at 610 Magnolia as a general manager and wine director. She continues to oversee the award-winning wine program at this restaurant. Together, they founded the Lee Initiative, a nonprofit launched in 2017 whose mission is to address issues of diversity and equality in the restaurant industry. Edward is the creative director and Lindsay is the managing director of the collaborative initiative that has been recognized by the New York Times, Food and Wine, Forbes, Bon Appetit, the Robb Report, just to name a few. Lindsay has created several programs under the Lee Initiative umbrella, including the Women's Culinary and Spirits Program, Restaurant Workers Relief Program, Restaurant Reboot Relief Program, and the McAtee Community and Training Kitchens. During the pandemic, the Lee Initiative distributed over 2 million meals at relief centers around the country, invested over $1.5 million in small farms, and has given over $1 million in grants to Black-owned food businesses through a partnership with Southern Restaurants and Racial Justice, which my restaurant received one of those as well. This year's recipient for the Muhammad Ali Kentucky Humanitarian Award, and on behalf of his partner, Lindsay Ofsasik, who also receives this award, please welcome Chef Edward Lee.
I can't do teleprompter, so I'm just going to read from my thing. I want to say thank you, Darnell. That was a very nice, warm welcome. Thank you to Lonnie. Thank you to everyone at the Ali Center. It's incredibly humbling for me to be here tonight. And I accept this award on behalf of Lindsay Ofsasik, who can't be here tonight. But she is really the driving force behind the Lee Initiative. I accept this award on behalf of all the dedicated folks at Lee Initiative who take all of our frantic ideas and turn them into tangible programs that have helped countless lives. I want to thank all our partners, donors, sponsors, and board members who empower us to work with passion and empathy. To everyone who's given us their dollars, their energy, their spirit, and their support, I salute you tonight. To all the chefs, the restaurant workers, the farmers, volunteers, all the hospitality professionals who've partnered with us over the last 18 years. You're the true heroes in my book. And finally, I accept this award on behalf of my wife, Diane, who's shown me how to dream in a world of fear. You've seen the best of me and the worst of me in this past year, and I promise the worst is over. I hope. When I think about what it means to be standing here accepting this award, I'm struck with a great deal of humility. When I think about the late, great Muhammad Ali, there are many words that come to mind. Powerful, proud, relentless, courageous, poetic. But the word I find myself drawn to tonight is kindness. It's not a word that we immediately comes to mind when we think of Ali, but for me, it's a word that is synonymous with his greatness. Kindness is a word that's hard to define, but you know it when you feel it, and you know it when you see it. Kindness is not something that we as a society value very much. It's not quantifiable on a P&L sheet. It isn't something you can put on a resume. It doesn't get you a discount at the pharmacy. To some, it's even a sign of weakness. But none of us would have gotten through 2020 without kindness, and I for sure would not have. Kindness is something we talk about a lot at the Lee Initiative. Whenever we start a new program, we always ask ourselves, are we doing it with kindness? To us, it is the foundation that everything is built on. Because I can tell you that the work we do is not for money, it's not for accolades or awards. We truly believe that kindness begets more kindness, and that creates a ripple effect that can change the world. For us, we don't just make a meal for families in need. We make sure the roast chicken is delicious, and the potatoes are beautiful, and the green beans are tucked in there just pretty enough to say, we care about you. And if you need an extra meal, just ask us, and we'll give you without shame or judgment. To me, kindness is not just helping the old lady across the street. It's helping the old lady across the street and making her believe that she deserves the world at the same time. Where others see conflict, we see kindness. When we tackle inequality in our industry, it's not an act of justice, it's an act of kindness that we hope will pave the way for the future. When we hand out a grant to a struggling business, it's not an act of charity, but a show of kindness to someone who we hope will pay it forward in their community. Remembering loved ones and victims who have fallen are also acts of kindness. Protests are not an act of aggression, but a plea for kindness. In 1967, when Muhammad Ali refused to fight in the Vietnam War, in his words, to drop bombs and bullets on the brown people in Vietnam, what America perceived as an act of betrayal, my family, who came from a war-ravaged country in Asia, saw as an act of kindness. "2020 was a messed up year, and I've been very confused by the world lately. I've been led to believe that our world is divided into good and evil, that our belief system is polarized into what is right and wrong, with politics, with people, with history, with culture. That somehow, if we continue to scream and berate and humiliate each other, that the world will be a better place. That makes me terrified of the world that my 8-year-old daughter is inheriting. I too want to see change, and I don't have the answers yet. The only thing I own is my kindness. I'm a chef, and I believe that food is a tool for good. I believe that change happens because millions of people do millions of small acts of kindness. And together that becomes an unstoppable force. It becomes our humanity, and that's how we define ourselves for the next generation. I will continue the work we started at the Lee Initiative, because if I can contribute in some small way to making this planet a little more kind, it was all worth it. Thank you.
Well, you've heard a bit about the mission and the impact of Muhammad Ali Center. A crucial part of that mission is to help nurture, collaborate with, and recognize tomorrow's humanitarian leaders, those who work and help pave the way in addressing the challenges of tomorrow. But did you know that over half of the world's population at this moment are all the age of 30 or younger? The immensity of this statistic and the fact that many of these young adults, they're actually choosing to give back to the world is the reason why we showcase some of the humanitarians and the work that's being done around the world. Tonight, we'll honor 7 individuals over 30 and under who are the very embodiment of Ali's 6 core principles, which are competence, conviction, dedication, respect, giving, and spirituality. These are the principles that ultimately define Muhammad Ali's character and purpose throughout his entire life. And like Muhammad, these young humanitarians we celebrate tonight have fueled their ambitions and abilities with actions and ingenuity. They serve as an example, a huge example to all of us tonight. Our first core principle presenter is Dr. Michael Waters. Dr. Waters is the founder and the lead pastor of the Abundant Life African Methodist Episcopal Church in Dallas, Texas. He's also a professor, author, activist, and social commentator. His work and his ministry have a global reach, and they have been featured all over the world in major media outlets. Dr. Waters is the author of several award-winning books, including For Beautiful Black Boys Who Believe in a Better World. And in 2019, he was awarded the Peacemaker of the Year Award by the Dallas Peace and Justice Center. Please welcome to the stage, everyone, Dr. Michael Waters.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. It's an honor to be here with you tonight, as well as my eldest son, Michael Jeremiah, who is the protagonist in the book For Beautiful Black Boys Who Believe in a Better World. And I'd be remiss if I did not thank the Ali Center for contributing such a tremendous activity and discussion guide to that book, which has been used by trusted adults across the country to engage in conversations with their young people around issues of police brutality, gun violence, as well as racial violence. Clementine Jacoby is the executive director of Recidivists, a nonprofit that is building an open source platform to turn fragmented criminal justice data into actionable insights for practitioners, policymakers, researchers, and the public. Prior to Recidivists, Clementine spent 4 years as a project manager at Google, where she worked on Google Maps and Android. These years would prove to be the perfect foundation for the work that awaited Clementine. Let's take a look.
The United States criminal justice system and its problems are complicated. So Recidivists builds a data layer that sits on top of these fragmented databases. Our platform pulls together arrests, probation, prisons, and parole data and stitches them into one place, giving criminal justice decision makers access to real-time information across the system. So it was always bad that criminal justice decision makers didn't have access to timely data, but I think COVID made that much more clear. For corrections directors, COVID-19 threatened to not only harm their staff and the people who were incarcerated, but the community too. In many ways, that's a microcosm of the issue overall, which is that they have a lot of responsibility, a lot of decisions to make, and very, very bad information. So we built a model that forecasted COVID's impact and helped states to maximize for public health and public safety. We ended up working with 34 states on their COVID response, And those states ended up safely releasing 25,000 people, which was 3 times the rate of states that didn't use our model. Most people had less than 6 months left to serve for nonviolent offenses. These early releases weren't radical, they were data-driven. In the wake of COVID-19, every state is facing budget cuts. They can't sustain the current number of people in prisons. But if they use data, they can safely reduce populations and make the system more effective. The important thing about recidivism is that it uplevels every other solution in the criminal justice reform ecosystem. It's enabling every other solution to move faster and to flourish and to see if it's working. Every person that doesn't go back to prison is a huge success story for them personally, for their families, for their communities, for the GDP, for whatever it is that you care about. One person not ending up back in prison is a really big deal. So if we had this data in all 50 states, you're talking about radical transformation of the system.
Amazing work. Clementine was recently named in Forbes 30 Under 30, Fast Company's Most Creative People, and Time's Next 100 Most Influential People. Tonight, we honor her as this year's Principal Awardee for Respect. Clementine is unable to join us in person this evening, but she wanted to share her appreciation and thoughts, so please join me in welcoming via video, Clementine Jacoby.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me here tonight. Throughout his life, Muhammad Ali persevered against challenges in and out of the boxing ring. He had an unwavering commitment to respecting and serving others. He reached across aisles around the world to bring people back to their families and justice to our communities. I'm honored to be here today, celebrating that legacy. The events of the last 18 months have forced us to look deeper into our criminal justice system. We incarcerate more people than any country in the world. The problem is lifelong and intergenerational. A child becomes 6 times more likely to enter the system once a parent does. The United States prison population began to rise dramatically in the 70s, and we've seen that same dramatic rise in people on probation and parole. But while these populations grew, support for them through treatment, through housing and employment didn't grow. So the result is that these systems that we created to provide an alternative to incarceration have become a pipeline into prison. Almost half of all prison admissions come from probation and parole. Today, there are almost 5 million people on supervision. Most are caught in the revolving door of incarceration. But we have an opportunity to change that. Recently, we got to work with Bethany and Allison, 2 probation officers who saw it as their calling to help clients. They were working with a mother named Angie towards recovery from addiction. A few weeks ago, Allison got to share the good news that she was recommending Angie to be discharged from supervision. Angie could now spend more time with her children and be a mentor for others, working as a manager in sober living homes. Allison and Bethany could focus their attention on their clients, the ones who needed them the most. Ali once said, "It isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe." Thank you to his family and to the center for following his legacy and keeping his stories of strength through struggle alive. He's a symbol of justice, redemption, and leadership from, by, and for communities of color. Thank you to our partners for their dedication to making our criminal justice system safer and more equitable. Thank you to the recidivist team who are committing their talents to this work. Thank you to Allison and Bethany who work tirelessly to keep their clients successful. And thank you to Angie for giving us the opportunity to share your story. With the pebble no longer in your shoe, there are no limits to which mountains you'll climb ahead. Take care, everyone. Be safe and have a good night.
Tremendous. Once again, a round of applause for Clementine. And now for our next recipient. With a poet's soul and an activist passion, Sonita Alizada uses rap and a lot of courage to stand up for women's and girls' rights. She is a young Afghan rapper working to put an end to child marriage. Born in Afghanistan under the Taliban regime and being almost sold into marriage twice. at age 10 and again at 16. Sunita's mother instructed her to return home to Afghanistan to meet her future husband. With the help of an Iranian filmmaker, Sunita recorded a powerful and evocative video, Daughters for Sale, which has been seen around the world. That song and the documentary that followed, called Sunita, helped Alizada obtain a full scholarship to come to the U.S. in 2015. Let's take a look at the trailer for her film.
همین خارج بودن خوبه؟ نه تا اون پدر مادره چیزی که دوست مایکل جکسون و ریانا. تو چی میدونی از سرنوشت من؟ من فردام روشنه، نخون غم من. I'm rapper.
I'm a rapper.
I'm a rapper. اونا منو میخوام، پسر مثلا منو میخره. به خاطر 5 میلیون داری این کارو میکنی؟
مجبورم. شب اگر بچه آدم نون نداشته باشم آدم به دیزی بیرون میشه.
همه سر میپوشش دیگه.
به خاطر چاق رامپول می بیچاره کنی بدبخت کنی که
پیاده آمده بودم پیاده هم میرم تلسم قربتم شکسته میشه سفره خیلی حشم دیگه بسته کسی که از این کتم مدرسه محروم بود میره با ملیت و متهم جون بود میره همون کودکی که هیچ وقت هم بزی ندش جز رفتن به مدرسه آرزویی ندش ما برم جایی که دیگه نگن پولیسا پایم خوری با تو هم پولیسا.
Absolutely amazing. As a member of the second hip-hop generation, I really can dig it. Today, Sunita lives here in the United States where she is working on her joint major at Bard College in Human Rights and Music. She is still a passionate advocate to end child marriage and to promote the rights of other women around the globe. Her message about ending child marriage is reaching the highest levels of global leadership and civil society, and her story and vision have been shared worldwide. Please welcome tonight's Principal Awardee for Conviction, Sunita Alizada.
Today, I'm here for 2 reasons. The first one is to thank you all for honoring my work, and the second is to talk about the importance of investing in women and girls. As Muhammad Ali said, what keeps me going is goals. That's why nothing has stopped me. I have goals. I was born in Herat, Afghanistan, under the Taliban regime. War and poverty forced my family to flee to Iran. So I grew up as an undocumented refugee in Tehran, where I was allowed to live, but without rights. Fortunately, I found an NGO that unchained my thinking and introduced me to my full potential. Mentors there fed me hope, inspired me to have dreams and chase them. Yet, still, I was almost sold into marriage at age 10 and again 16. I was desperate to speak without being punished or ignored, because for years my friends had been disappearing one by one from class to the same fate. Then one day I heard Eminem rapping. I couldn't understand him, but the anger was so clear in his voice, and I felt connected to him. So finally, I discovered a way to express my feeling, to share stories, so people would listen through rap. People called me reckless because I broke strict laws against women singing in Iran. But what could have been more scarier than giving up on dreams that kept me alive? So I began to write and write. My first rap song, Daughters for Sale, went viral, so I got a full scholarship to come to the US. Thank you. And today I'm at Bard College pursuing a joint major in human rights and music. So this is my story in short, but it is very heartbreaking to retell it, see it consumed and forgotten. Because there are millions other Sunnita around the world that have the same story, but very different endings. We see this today happening to millions of Afghan women and girls and their stories. Who cares if they're deprived of their childhood? And who cares if the little girls are taken as sex slaves by Taliban fighters? Gratefully, I will take this award with me, and I hope that you take our stories with you. And I hope that you ask yourselves how you might be able to invest in these girls, women, so they too have a reason to follow their dreams, to chase their dreams, to build a bridge between themselves and their dreams. Thank you all.
Wow, it's just powerful. So we have two very special people with us tonight to present two of our principal awards. These gentlemen are the co-founders of the George Floyd Memorial Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. And their family. Roger is George's uncle. He recently retired from the insurance industry, and Thomas, George's cousin, is recently retired, a retired teacher who spent over 30 years in Georgia's public school system. Together, they have taken up the mantle of social change by creating an organization that will honor George Floyd's legacy and help bridge the economic, education, and justice gap in our society. Let's all give them a huge, warm welcome. Co-founders of George Floyd Memorial Center, Thomas McLaurin and Roger Floyd.
Good evening. It's an honor to be with you this evening and to present the Principal Award for Confidence. The two young ladies we celebrate through this award tonight are co-founders of Freedom March NYC, a youth protest and policy group on the front lines pushing for reform in New York City and throughout the nation. They were the leaders of one of the largest freedom movements during the summer of 2020. Let's take a look.
It will show you us as thugs, as agitators, as animals, as somehow lesser than. Because even in 2020, we are still seen as three-fifths. Every time one of our brothers and sisters lose their lives to police brutality, none of us can breathe. We are in a pandemic. But there are two pandemics taking place in America. COVID-19 is killing us. But racism has been killing us a lot longer. When did they fool us into thinking that we were powerful? Say it again. Look at tonight. Look at this young, old, black, white. We are here because we know that it's wrong to see a black man murdered. We knew that it was wrong to see a knee in the neck of George Floyd. So what do we do now? That's the question. When the hashtags die, when the protests stop being fucked, will you still come out? Will you still demand justice? We need to organize our community. We need economic development. We need education. Yes. We need to end the wealth disparity. Yes. We need to own something in this country. We are warriors. So when I say black lives, y'all say matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. And so we may be young, but we are a force. We may be young, but we stand on the shoulders of giants. We may be young, but we are organized and we are strategized, and we will show up in November to the polls, and we will let them know that we are not going anywhere.
Naila has been involved in activism from an early age, having served in the role of Midwest Youth Director of the National Action Network. She has also worked for the Biden campaign as a special assistant to the senior advisor, all while being a leader of one of the largest freedom movements during the summer of 2020. Before co-founding Freedom March NYC, Chelsea worked in the Obama White House in 2016 as one of the youngest interns on the criminal justice reform and urban economic opportunity. Most recently, Chelsea was honored by the Oprah Winfrey Network, now This Next, as one of the leading voices of justice in her generation. Both Chelsea and Naila are proud members of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Please welcome to the stage this year's Confident Award winners, Naila Idari and Chelsea Miller.
I too am going to be rebellious and read from my phone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here with you tonight. From an early age, I studied the work of Muhammad Ali and the way he used his voice and platform to unapologetically show up when the bell was rung. His closest friends were organizers in the movement for Black liberation. And when he was called, he showed up. He brought generations together. When we delivered our speech at the March on Washington in 2020, I was 23 years old at the time, the same age as John Lewis when he spoke in 1963. To the hundreds of thousands of people watching, we declared, "We may be young, but we stand on the shoulders of giants." Muhammad Ali is one of those giants. I always say before there was a Freedom March, NYC, there was a Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Before there was a Tamir Rice and a George Floyd, there was an Emmett Till. From Louisville to Minneapolis, Freedom March NYC has shown up and will continue to show up. And as Muhammad Ali did for the organizers he believed in, and a movement that he helped propel, we urge you to not simply believe in this work, but to show up too. Show up unapologetically, show up for an end to police brutality, show up to protect voting rights, show up for the revolutionaries and abolitionists, show up for Black trans women, show up for the next Muhammad Ali's, Malcolm X's, MLK's, Shirley Chisholm's, Ida B. Wells, and Marsha P. Johnson's. Show up bringing the energy of a heavyweight champion in the final round, because the bell within this movement has rung, and history is taking count. The question is where you will be when the final count is written.
Thank you to the Muhammad Ali Foundation for this incredible honor, the Confidence Award. This honor is a really special moment because Muhammad Ali was someone I admired and his words have followed me throughout my life. In fact, I quoted Muhammad Ali in my college admissions essay, words that still sting true today. I am America. I am the part you won't recognize, but get used to me. Black, confident, cocky, my name, not yours, my religion, not yours, my goals, my own. Get used to me. Get used to me. Get used to young Black women and girls standing up, creating change, and taking up space. When Chelsea and I decided to organize a march, we didn't think we were doing anything extraordinary or abnormal for us. We were just two concerned friends who wanted to be outside, who wanted to do something and wanted to stand against police brutality and honor George Floyd. That one act to trust ourselves, to be confident, to visibly stand up for what we believed in, turned into so much more, and our organization, Freedom March NYC, was born. I hope that we can inspire our friends, family, and even those of you in this room that once you have the confidence, you can do anything.
Our next principle, spirituality. This year's recipient has committed his young life to creating pathways for families, like his own, to make it out of poverty. Darius Baxter committed to this after being raised by a single mother through the murder of his father and subsequent homelessness. See for yourselves.
Just a mile away from the U.S. Capitol, you'll find a neighborhood we call the Good Zone. For decades, the story has been another Black-owned business closed, another Black family displaced. But good projects exist to change this narrative, not just here, but in every neighborhood impacted by poverty. We are eliminating the roadblocks to basic needs so that Black families can define their own success. We are tackling food insecurity with hot meals and weekly grocery deliveries. We are ensuring good health during a global pandemic with access to COVID testing, safety lessons, and vaccinations. We are creating equal access to education by opening and operating the Good Learning Hub at zero cost to students and families. We are nurturing mental health within our community by providing services and programs to meet their unique needs. Beyond basic needs, we are addressing the root obstacles through family success planning so our families can build generational success. We will get 500 Good Zone families out of poverty by 2030. We will share this model to bring change where it's needed. One community, one block, one dreamer at a time.
Darius' work has been highlighted by national publications like the New York Times, 60 Minutes, and NPR. But his proudest accomplishment was in 2020 when he received the Bricky Award as voted on by the residents in the public housing community in which he serves. Please welcome to the stage our recipient for this year's Spirituality Award, Darius Baxter.
Nobody else will. It is very cold in here, so whoever is controlling the air conditioner, all right. Hand clap for that, please. All right. I have to, of course, thank the Floyd family. We've had an opportunity to spend some time together over the course of the last few days, and absolutely exceptional, and I wish you all nothing but the best in your future endeavors. Of course, thank you to the Good Projects team, our board of directors, and the thousands of youth and families that we have the opportunity to serve each and every day. Thank you to the Ali family and the board of directors of the Muhammad Ali Center for honoring the people of the Southwest public housing community with this tremendous award. Wow, this is a big deal, man. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Thank you, thank you. All right, everybody. Tonight represents a milestone. A milestone on the pathway to true economic and social freedom for Black families across this great nation that for too long have been thought of and seen as disposable. I'm just honored to be up here today to stand alongside so many great leaders that I have the opportunity to share table 14 with that embody, give yourselves a hand clap, that embody the core principles of Mr. Muhammad Ali. But as we sit here and we enjoy our wine and our salmon and our steak, we must not forget that the work is not done. At the end of the day, tonight, here in America, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children that will go to bed hungry, unsure of where their next meal will come from. I don't know about you all, but that seems like a bit of a problem. Unfortunately, I don't want to live in a country in the richest time, in the richest moment in history, where we have billionaires flying into space in rocket ships that they built in their backyard. And we have parents that are living in communities like mine in Southwest, communities here in Louisville, communities all around this country, parents that are scared to send their children outside because they're scared of the threat of gun violence. So it's very easy for us to sit here and to celebrate and to clap and give young men like myself awards. But at the end of the day, to be aware and not act makes us a part of the crime. It makes us a part of the injustice. As my sister so eloquently stated, the pandemic has exacerbated the vast inequalities that exist here in America. And at the end of the day, the disparities are growing each and every day between the rich and the poor in areas in regards to housing, education, healthcare, and all the other factors that determine the quality of life for children in this country. Yet for too many of us, some of which are right here in this room, turning a blind eye to inequality has become all too the norm. I'm here to let you know, I'm sorry, I can't let you off the hook. We are letting this happen. In the spirit of Muhammad Ali, I must ask, what are we willing to risk, people? We're all change makers, right? Activists, rule breakers, fancy MFers, right? But what does that mean? It's fancy titles if we're not willing to risk something. In the fight against poverty, it's easy to stay in our seats or to come to fancy dinners like this and throw money at the problem and say that we've done a job well done. But when it's time to step into the ring and risk getting punched in the face, how many of us, by a show of hands, are willing to risk even a smither of our comfort for the betterment of the humanity for all members of this beautiful society? And I love your hand, sister. Even after the money and the fame, Mr. Ali was willing to put it all on the line each and every day to defeat his opponents in and out of the ring. In accepting this award tonight on behalf of the people of the Southwest Public Housing community, I am honored and inspired to be standing in the legacy of such a great leader, father, athlete, and poet as Muhammad Ali. And I promise you, it's not just because we were both so god doggone pretty. Man, I look good. I'm telling y'all, this suit hugging me. It's hugging me nice. But as my colleagues at Table 14 have come to realize over the last 2 days, beyond our similarly boisterous demeanors, Mr. Ali and I share something much deeper, something much greater. And that's a fearlessness driven by the belief that ultimately God is in control of our lives. That God has called each and every one of us to use our gifts and our talents to bring the world closer to a place where everyone, no matter the color of their skin, no matter how much money they have in their bank account, no matter their zip code, that everyone can wake up in the morning with joy in their hearts and go to bed at night with dignity, looking forward to the next day. For all of us tonight, standing in Mr. Ali's extraordinary legacy, it would be a disservice not to truly ask in our hearts, our minds, and our souls, what are we willing to risk for the betterment of our fellow man and woman? Beyond writing checks or posting videos of media, social medias, you can do that. What are we going to do in the fight for the true liberation of black families in this country? It's time to show the world that the only way to move forward is to get in the ring. And if you can't tell, I'm here tonight to let you know that I am not scared. But I pose the question to you. Are you going to join me? Thank you.
Well, that was profound and powerful. And ladies, he is pretty. This is true. Thank you. Our next presenter is the president of Our next presenter is the president of Islamic Relief USA. With over 25 years' experience working in the field of humanitarian and development assistance, he serves on the board of Joint Learning Initiative and Muslim Advisory Council at Lilly School of Philanthropy. Please give him a nice warm welcome, Mr. Anwar Khan.
I can't believe I'm with Sister Sledge. We are definitely your family. So, I asked my colleague, he's a millennial, goes, I don't know who she is. You should know. But anyway, Assalamu alaikum. I give you the greetings. May peace be with you all. Darius, I loved your passion, brother. But I come from a fundraising background, so we want your checks too. I want to be very clear. He might not, but the Ali Center does. We want your checks, and we want your sweat, and we want your heart. Thank you for bringing the heart, but we want the checks too. So, tonight's recipient of the Principal Award for Giving is the founder and CEO of Iriba Water Group Limited, social enterprise that offers innovative drinking water solutions for vulnerable communities in Rwanda and in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Let's take a look at the work of this remarkable young woman. Yvette Ishimwe has been awarded by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of England in 2017 in recognition of the impact of her work with Ariba has brought to the community. Her ongoing mission is to transform Africa through innovations and social entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, Yvette could not be with us this evening, but she wanted to share her gratitude for this recognition. Please welcome via video our recipient for the Giving Principal Award, Yvette Ishimwe.
Hi, everyone. One of my personal favorite quotes says, "It always seems impossible until it's done." And this always reminds me that I can do everything that I set my mind and heart on. Let me tell you my story. In 2015, I was 19 years at that time. My family relocated from Kigali City to Kayonza, a rural community in the eastern part of Rwanda. Our experience there became quite overwhelming, making it hard for us to settle in because the place was dry and had no access to clean water. The situation made me think and research on how best I could get clean water for my family and the entire village at a cost people could afford. So I experimented a solution, which was to fetch water from a nearby lake with a truck, bring it in a home water tank, and then with a connected purification system that I had searched on Google, people are able to come and fetch clean water from a home water tank. With this solution, I managed to supply water to my family and 150 neighboring homes. And later on, I was able to raise some funds that I used to build a big water plant, which is today supplying water to 4,000 homes in Kayonza community. I didn't stop there. This achievement made me realize that actually the issue of water scarcity was not for my Kayonza community only. Instead, more than 319 million people in sub-Saharan Africa still don't have access to safe water. I believe that no one should have to die or get sick for a lack of something so basic and so achievable as safe drinking water. And so that's the reason why I founded Iriba Water Group, which is the reason why I'm here. Iriba, it means a natural source of fresh water in my mother language. We're on a mission to empower African communities with safe and enough water at all times of need. And to date, Iriba serves up to 74,500 people with safe drinking water every day. And we have created 59 jobs for local youth and women. I know this is nowhere near where we want to be, but reflecting on how everything started, I believe this wouldn't have been possible for me and my team to achieve whatever we have been able to achieve without courage, selflessness, and compassion for those we serve. And being a Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Awardee for Giving means a lot to me. It reconfirms to me that what we are doing is really meaningful to our fellow humans. And we have a lot of pressing issues in our own communities and all around the world. If we could only see these problems as great opportunities for us to make change and improve other people's lives, our world will be a better place. I dedicate this award to my mom, who first believed in my dream, and to my team that works tirelessly every single day to achieve whatever we have been able to do. Thank you.
Congratulations to Yvette, and now tonight's recipient of the Principal Award for Dedication is Christian Stephan. Christian is a British journalist, filmmaker, and writer from London, England. Over the past decade, he has specialized in documentary and frontline coverage of conflict and human rights issues, primarily in hostile environments. Let's take a look at some of the work from this passionate and courageous young filmmaker.
Let's resume with Christian Stephan. He spent many years documenting conflicts in Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Gaza, and Somalia.
This is the last place before the ISIS. Okay, we're just gonna have to run past this place because there's some snipers. Okay, go. So basically, this is the last line of defense against Islamic State. Go, 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 go. Okay, we're just making our way through one of the more heavily hit areas of Kathmandu in the center. And these people basically have come here because obviously they need to see if they can dig out their loved ones, but also a good chunk of them are volunteer. Massive explosion. Okay, so we're at the forward most part of the Peshmerga outpost here in Sinjar. You can see here that they use mirrors to see just over the sandbags because the ISIS positions are literally about 400 meters away. And so ISIS have snipers on this side that our Peshmerga sniper is trying to shoot right back.
And that's really why I do what I do. I'm trying to explain the world to myself, and if I can help explain it to others at the same time, then I've done my job. Constantly surprised by what we are able to do to each other. But at the same time, I'm equally surprised by the lengths that we'll go to save each other from the darkness. So I grieve for it, but I don't despair.
Despite being held in captivity in Syria, Christian was rescued and returned with the footage that would result in the film Welcome to Aleppo. Upon release, he was the youngest ever nominee for the Livingston Award for International Reporting. He is now executive producer at Signal, a new digital publication exploring vital questions in American life and the human world. Please welcome our recipient for the Dedication Principal Award, Christian Stephen.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. Be patient with me. I underestimated how loud those gunshots would be. Good evening. I would like to express my profound gratitude to the Ali family and the Ali Center for this honor. I'm humbled. When I was first notified, my first thoughts were, firstly, how on earth did you find me? And secondly, here are 5 people you should give the award to. Although the act of putting on a suit and being given an award goes against every fiber of my being, and although it is almost certainly a spectacular mistake, I deeply respect and admire the Ali family and the work this center does, and I am profoundly grateful to be with you. When thinking about how I could be of the utmost service to you this evening, all I could think of was deliver a very short speech. And if I failed there, at least there will be some truth to it. We meet together in a time of anger and grief, a period marred by the pandemic, climate change, emboldened white supremacy, widening inequality, and an incomprehensible technological shift that has propelled us towards an uncertain future. Having covered war for over a decade, it's strange to see much of the shadow that covers those environments creep into our everyday fears. We stand at the edge of a dark time, and it can be easy to give in to despair. During times such as these, it would make sense to ask the question, at what point is hope lost? At what point do the bonds of our humanity and shared vision fray under the weight of seemingly endless trials? After all we have seen, how can we hold hope close in the horror without fearing it is just a convenient tale from when we were children in need of comfort? These are the questions in our midst when facing an often mercurial future. Where is the light in this valley? It is fitting that this room exemplifies one of the only things I have seen conjure real hope within the darkness. That is compassion, and that is why I can fear for our times, but why I do not despair. In my mind, I often return to the root words of compassion, which are com and passus. Com, meaning to suffer, passus, with, to suffer with. True compassion is not sending best wishes and waiting for the world to naturally right itself. True compassion is climbing into the midst of the storm, not because it is televised, but because it is right. It is the action that follows bearing witness. It is right action in the face of a great evil, especially when that evil is given free rein to keep oppressive systems in place. Most of all, it is the knowledge that compassion does not equal comfort. Muhammad Ali knew this well and lived it. When fully realized, it can place you in direct opposition to what many hold as the way things ought to be. And when faith is weaponized by politicians and authoritarians, the moral high ground can be wreathed in fog. And although it took me years to learn, the exaltation of beauty and the intense pursuit of justice are what orient the human heart towards courage. And courage is what we need now. Courage for ourselves, courage for each other, courage to know that dark times are the price of greater vision. Society is only urged into new and undiscovered countries of thought by imagination, and imagination is captured when we lead with truth. And if we can embrace complexity with compassion and resilience, suffering no fools, authoritarians, or those seeking self-glorification, then I believe we will see a democratic and truly just society born of these hard times. And I can't think of anything more worthwhile. In closing, I'll inflict some poetry on you, if you don't mind. Which is Tennyson. He said, "'Tis not too late to seek a new world. We are not now that strength which in olden days moved heaven and earth. That which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will. To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. I am humbled by this honor, and I will endeavor to be worthy of it. Thank you."
Absolutely beautiful, so eloquent. I forgot my cue. I was caught up backstage. Congratulations. Our next presenter, I'm so excited. Our next presenter is an internationally known author, a speaker, actress, and Parkinson's disease advocate. Her book, I'll Hold Your Hand So You Won't Fall, A Child's Guide to Parkinson's Disease, was inspired by her children and her father, Muhammad Ali. Rashida has participated in countless documentaries and has been interviewed by numerous national and global media outlets. As an advocate of stem cell research, Rashida travels the globe, motivating others to make the difference in their communities, raising awareness and funds for neurocognitive disorders, as well as promoting love and inclusion through Muhammad Ali Center. And she's absolutely radiant. So please welcome the presenter of the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award for Global Citizenship, Rashida Ali.
Daddy's here tonight. I feel his spirit. Thank you all for being here. Bonnie, thank you. Satina, Alicia, Amira. Tonight's recipient of the Award for Global Citizenship is an award-winning journalist known for her persistent humanitarian reporting. She has covered conflicts in Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, and the Central African Republic, to name just a few, as well as nuclear tensions from North Korea and Iran and numerous humanitarian disasters, including the massive 2010 earthquake in Haiti, where her appeal via Twitter is credited for helping to speed the arrival of humanitarian planes. Her worldwide reporting about climate change, including from the Arctic, the South Pole, and Mount Kilimanjaro, broke ground when Americans were still debating it. Anne's list of news-breaking interviews includes various presidents, both domestic and abroad, foreign ministers, first ladies, vice presidents, U.S. secretaries of state, a list of celebrities, too long to list, as well as His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. She has written for National Geographic magazine and taught journalism seminars at American University, as well as producing a PBS documentary series and a program helping underserved Americans get access to medical care. Awarded 7 Emmys and numerous other journalism awards, she has also received many humanitarian awards, including a Medal of Valor from Simon Wiesenthal Center for her dedication to reporting about genocide. She currently serves on the Ali Center Commission on Civility and Compassion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's recipient for the Muhammad Ali Award for Global Citizenship, Ann Curry.
Thank you so much, Rashida, and thank you, Lonnie, and to the Ali family and to the center. It's really because of your contributions that it means so much to me, that I'm so touched to be receiving this praise. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you, and I want to tell you something. Few here can possibly know that there is one thing that I'm especially proud to have done. Once here, years ago in Louisville, I was able to tell Muhammad Ali that I really wanted him to know how much good he had done with his life, that I wished it would come at him as a huge wave crashing against him all at once. And I said, "Champ, I bet that would knock even you out." And he threw his head back and he laughed aloud, his face almost childlike, and that moment was everything. Now, in this moment, as has been said, we come back together. After all we've experienced, the loss and fear of a long pandemic, the pain of seeing injustice and acrimony roar across our country, reaching into our nation's capital and even here in Louisville, it's probable, it's possible that perhaps we could be forgiven for not wanting to think too much about doing good for others. Facing existential threats, people are often pushed to really want to think about themselves. So what explains all of you? Why in this time, when so many have turned inward, are you willing to give and gather here to focus outward on Muhammad Ali's ideas about service and humanity, to his calls for us to consider the suffering of others? I think I know, because I've seen you before. I've seen you in the family that started a food bank to feed hungry neighbors in Southeast Ohio. I have seen you in the humanitarians protecting the vulnerable from genocide in Darfur and from ethnic cleansing in the Central African Republic. I have seen you in the aid workers helping people survive war in Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, Congo, Lebanon, and Iraq. In doctors saving the broken after an earthquake in Haiti. In first responders rushing in after massive tsunamis in Southeast Asia and Japan. And in everyday citizens out in rescue boats after Hurricane Katrina and Superstorm Sandy. I have seen you in the volunteers at homeless shelters all across this nation. You are the ones lucky enough to know that we make our own lives more meaningful, more extraordinary when we try to do something that lifts others. You are the reason humanity has hope. Maybe it's because I've seen you in so many places all over this world that there are times in a busy airport or on the bustling streets of Manhattan when I think I get a glimpse of where we're all headed. Surrounded by a sea of faces, suddenly a reverent awe can come over me, a recognition that regardless of whether we believe in the story of Adam and Eve, or in the DNA research that now links us to a genetic Adam and Eve in Africa, we are more than connected, we are related. Breathing in this one bit of truth, a deep well of empathy breaks open within. And for the briefest of seconds, you can know in your core that no matter what language we've learned to speak, no matter what country we were born into, or what cultural ideas or even politics that we've been taught to embrace, none of us is truly alien to the other. This, I think, is what the greatest, ahead of his time, already not just glimpsed, but deeply understood. That he could look at strangers as family, that he could look at people he disagreed with as family, that he could love without judgment, is proof of what's possible in every one of us and in generations to come. And that's a future worth fighting for. Thank you.
I was so captivated by Anne's speech, I forgot I was supposed to be the one following her. I have to confess, tonight is an embarrassment of riches for me personally. I get to present the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Awards to two people who were so special to me and were to Muhammad as well. One was Ina. Next, our final award this evening recognizes our Humanitarian of the Year. Dr. Richard Lapchick is a human rights activist, a pioneer for racial equality, internationally recognized expert on sports and social issues, a scholar, an author. Richard is often described as the racial consciousness of sport. Dr. Lapchick's commitment to equality and his belief that sport can be an effective instrument of positive social change was brought to life at the University of Central Florida in August of 2001, where he launched the DeVos Sports Business Management Program. In 2005, it was named the #2 program in the world of sports business international. He is a prolific writer, with 17 books having been published. He has spoken in the United States Congress, at the United Nations, in the European Parliament, and at the Vatican, with more than 3,000 speeches given, with more than 600 articles written. He was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame of the Commonwealth Nations in the category of humanitarian, along with Arthur Ashe and Nelson Mandela. Richard was inducted into the New York City Basketball Hall of Fame in 2015, and he was named as one of the Beyond Sports inspirational 50 people, living and past, who use sport to change the world, along with Billie Jean King, Nelson Mandela, and my husband. Yeah. Richard was one of the 200 guests personally invited by Nelson Mandela to his inauguration after leading the American sports boycott of South Africa from 1975 until the end of apartheid. He often shares that one of his greatest honors was being asked to make a toast at Muhammad's 70th birthday party. In actuality, the honor was far greater for Muhammad and me to have him do so. Today, Dr. Richard Lapchick is the director of the Institute of Diversity and Ethics in Sport and is president of the Institute for Sport and Social Justice at the University of Central Florida. And tonight, it is my wholehearted honor to announce that Richard is this year's recipient for the Humanitarian of the Year Award. Won't you please welcome to the stage Dr. Richard Lapchick, a dear, dear friend. Oh, there he is.
Lonnie, I don't even know how to begin to thank you and the Ali Center for this amazing award. About a year ago, this then 75-year-old, reflecting on his future and his past, told my wife Anne that I've been lucky enough to get acknowledgments in places that I probably didn't deserve, but the one thing that I would love more than anything else was to someday receive the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian of the Year Award. Literally. And here we are tonight. First of all, I'm completely blown away by not only the award winners, but the presenters and the messages that they all brought. What a night of inspiration for me, and I'm sure everybody here. And I know we're going to go home with a new charge in our lives to do more than we were doing before we came here tonight. I was blessed to get to know Muhammad in the late 1970s, and then later Ann and I became friends with Lonnie and Muhammad for the last 40 years. Some memories in the 1960s. My dad and Red Auerbach, my dad was the coach of the New York Knicks. Red Auerbach was, of course, the coach of the Boston Celtics. They were in their retirement, the official greeters at a place called Cutcher's Country Club, where Muhammad happened to train. And I went up to visit my dad one day, and my dad introduced me to then Cassius Clay. And I sort of knew about him generally, but when he shook my hand, I knew that I had shaken the hand of somebody who was special. As a teenager, I didn't know why, but I really felt it. As some of you know, I was the American leader of the sports boycott of South Africa for 25 years during the apartheid era. And as a consequence of my role, I was attacked in my college office by two masked men who caused liver damage, kidney damage, a hernia, concussion, and carved the N-word in my stomach with a pair of office scissors. I was rescued by the UN, who tried to get me out of Virginia, where I was, to come to New York City. And I remember when I first got there in 1978, I began a staff protest with a guy from Ghana because there was a branch of Chemical Bank in the building. Chemical Bank was one of the major lenders to South Africa. And that guy from Ghana said, well, you're from the world of sport. Can you get Muhammad Ali to come here? And I said, I met him 20 years ago. I doubt if I can do it. But through channels, he came, spoke to the General Assembly, set it on its ear like he did everywhere he went. And I remember after that thinking that the UN will never be the same. I began a lifelong friendship at that time with that guy from Ghana. The guy from Ghana was a staff member. He became Kofi Annan, the Secretary General of the United Nations. And upon becoming Secretary General, Kofi asked me if I could possibly bring Muhammad back to be his first messenger of peace. And we did that a month and a half after he took the office. And when it comes to peace and unity, who else could Kofi Annan have asked to have been his first messenger of peace than Muhammad Ali? I think of all the athlete activists who are out there today in large numbers supporting each other, and I think of the lonely Muhammad Ali as a singular voice in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, not joined by many people, taking up various social justice issues that were unpopular at the time. Along with a handful of others, he laid the groundwork for the time that Colin Kaepernick could take that knee in 2016 and the Milwaukee Bucks could not come out for that NBA playoff game after the shooting in Kenosha. When we lost Muhammad 5 years ago, and those athletes who were afraid to step forward saw in this city 120,000 people in the streets following the funeral entourage, read about all the things that Muhammad had done all of his life, not just the protest against Vietnam, but consistently fighting against injustice. Not only that he was a great athlete, but that he was a great human being. They thought, and I believe myself, that he was the most popular person in America at the time he finally passed. I think those athletes were charged with the spirit of Muhammad Ali to get out there and do what they're doing today. It's a different world of sport. The murder of George Floyd changed everything in America, and it's such an honor to share this room with his members of his family, and I'm so privileged, and my wife is, that we've spent time with you, and we look forward to doing things with you together in the future. We began to hear of new police incidents after that shooting almost every week, but we should have known better. For in 2019, the year before the shooting, there were only 27 days in America when a policeman did not shoot and kill a citizen of their community. More than 54% of those shot and killed were people of color. Obviously, many of them were in the line of duty, but there were too many incidents like the one we're talking about here, or Breonna Taylor, or other names that we now have to mention in this litany of terrible tragedies in America. Finally, we began to look at systemic racism. We saw that this wasn't just about police brutality. It was about healthcare, about financial institutions withholding those resources from communities of color, about housing, about education, about the criminal justice system. And at the wealth gap, more than anything else, is that for me, at the heart of all this, if you can believe this statistic, the Forbes list of the 400 wealthiest Americans have an aggregate wealth greater than all 42 million African Americans combined. Try to get your arms around that 400 people could have an aggregate wealth greater than all 42 million African Americans combined. So I think Muhammad would be pleased if he saw us facing these uncomfortable truths the way we're doing now. 100 years ago, literally, my father, who was then playing for the original Celtics in a segregated sport, decided that his original Celtics were going to start to play against a black team called the New York Rens, became the two great white and black teams of their era. And they had a rivalry for the next 15 years and broke barriers all across the country. And several decades later, my dad, as the coach of the Knicks in 1950, signed Nat Sweetwater Clifton as the first black player in the history of the NBA. And literally, my earliest memories as a 5-year-old child were looking outside my bedroom window in Yonkers, New York, where I was raised, and seeing his image swing from a tree with people under the tree picketing. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew a lot of people hated this man who was my best friend, and I would only learn later what it was about. So 60 years later, I'm here with this amazing audience with so much gratitude in my heart for this award tonight, for being here. I know I'm here because I worked with so many amazing people over the last 50 years who enabled me to do some of the things that we've done together as a team, because that's what sports is about teamwork. And of course, those of you who know me know that I'm sitting with the love of my life for the last 35 years, who's educated and elevated me on almost every one of those days in those 35 years, my beautiful wife, Ann Pasnak. When she says her name is Ann Pasnak, she explains to whoever it is that my name is Richard Lapchick, that he wouldn't take my name when we got married. I almost did, by the way, but that's another story. So I chose the sports platform to fight against social injustice because of what I call the miracle of sport. It's the huddle. Once we step inside that huddle, I can't think of any other place in this world, in this country, or anywhere else where it suddenly doesn't matter if you're African American or white or Latino or Asian American or Native American or Arab American. It doesn't matter if you're Protestant, Catholic, Buddhist, Sikh, Jew, Hindu, or Muslim, young or old, gay or straight, come from a rich family or a poor family. You can't win the game if you don't pull together. Imagine if we take that into our institutions of higher education, to corporate America, to faith-based America, to every part of America, how different it would be. Too many of our young people have learned how to hate, and they're waging war on one another. We have the capacity, using Muhammad's inspiration and the tools of the Ali Center, to teach them how to love again and to give them the tools to make peace. Lonnie, I love you. Thank you so much for one of the best things that's ever happened in my life. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a final round of applause for all of our recipients this evening. Wow. I'd also like to thank, we'd like to thank the sponsors and all of you here and those watching remotely. Of course, watching remotely, for joining us tonight. We'd like to thank AARP Kentucky again for being the sponsors of our live stream tonight. And if you enjoyed this evening and you'd like to support the Muhammad Ali Center and the critical mission that endures from its namesake, you can donate tonight. You can use your QR code. It's in your program book. You can see it right in your program book. And for those of you who want to donate, you'll find a button right on the website So you all can, in advance, give your generous support. And now, in closing, I'd like to say thank you, God bless you. And I'd like to say, in closing, sorry, you're really going too fast. And I'm trying to be so cool about it. I was about to just break out in song. I have to just a little, because you can feel the love and the unity in this room. I just want to say, we are family. I've got all my sisters and my brothers with me. I had to do it. Okay. I see that, he's gearing up the music. I know, I'm drawing out the evening. I just want to say, now I'm closing out the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Awards for us. Once again, please welcome to the stage Carly Johnson and Craig Wagner. Thank you very much. God bless.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. no need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. As
Thank you so much. Truly an honor for us to be here. We really appreciate everyone.
Our story begins more than 60 years ago inside an abandoned chicken coop, where our founder discovered a retired teacher living, no home, no health care. So she said no to this injustice and yes to transforming lives. It's this drive, this compassion, that inspired AARP. Today, we empower people to choose how they live as they age. As a wise friend and fierce defender, we advocate for better health, financial security, and stronger communities. AARP, join us in making a difference.